Okay, it's now full screen. Okay, all right. So we will do a quick, are you able to see the recording also? It's showing, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Okay, so let's move on. This is a recap of what we did in the last class. 4 levels of adult learning, 8 learning styles, your learning style, your audience learning style. I think there is a question around that in the assignment. Applying the learning styles. Okay, so this is what we have done in the last class. We will have a quick recap through a questionnaire of this learning styles, what we had done in the last class. Today also, we will do a quick recap of that. So learning styles is what we will cover, then adult learning theories and principles, and of course the motivational theories, content and process theories, which is also there in your syllabus. Feel free to ask questions. You can write on the chat box as well. So when we have a break time, we will have the questions addressed. Okay, let me play these videos for you. So how we learn and consume information, so both as a trainer and as a learner. Okay, so we play the dual role of trainer. At the same time, we are learning as well continuously. And on the other side, if you are playing the role of a learner, some of you are also a trainer. You are a trainer also in your own capacities in your organizations, right? So how we learn, how we consume information as a trainer, learner. So we will see the YouTube video. Let me play it for you.
Here's Jonathan studying for a test.
Are you able to hear?
And studying, and studying,
you can write in the
and
chat
studying.
Box.
And here he is getting his test results. All that studying, and he
can't see, is it? 1 minute. Okay, now?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, I'm making it full screen.
He still got an F. Why? The thing is, there's no one right way to study. Some methods might work great for one person and not at all for others. Everybody learns differently. In order to find a study method that's best for you, it's important to know your learning style. The 4 most popular learning styles are visual, auditory, reading, writing, and kinesthetic, or hands-on. For most people, one of these methods will work best, but it's also possible for a combination of different styles to be effective. To discover your learning style, you can complete an online assessment. There's a wide variety of them available, consisting of multiple choice questions. However, you can also observe yourself and your previous learning experiences to get an idea of how you learn best. Let's circle back to Jonathan. When he's in class and his teacher is lecturing, he gets distracted pretty easily. Words tend to go in one ear and out the other. But when his teacher starts using visuals, Jonathan finds it easier to focus and understand the material. So he might be a visual learner. Now think about your history. How have you enjoyed learning in the past? Do you prefer watching over listening? Do you enjoy reading instead? Or maybe you learn best by doing, with hands-on experience. If none of these seem to grab you, give them each a try and see which one you tend to drift towards. Each learning style has its own study methods that work best with it. Let's take a look at how Jonathan and a few of his classmates study. As a visual learner, Jonathan finds it helpful to color code his notes. He finds it helps him to organize information and internalize it better. He also creates diagrams while studying, finding that they help him to better understand certain structures and ideas. Jonathan watches videos too, finding them helpful for extra information. Ruby is more of an auditory learner. She likes to study in a group and discuss the material with others. Sometimes she'll read her notes out loud because it helps her to hear what she's studying. In some classes, Ruby will record the lecture, with her teacher's permission of course, so that she can go back and listen to it later. Terrell finds that he learns best by reading and writing. He takes substantial notes during class and reads over them often. When he's trying to memorize something, he'll often write it out. He also makes sure to read and reread any materials his teacher has assigned the class. Raya is a kinesthetic learner. She's got a lot of energy and likes doing things. Labs and hands-on activities help her to understand certain ideas and topics. Sometimes she'll review her material while she's walking around. She also likes to take breaks in order to release some of her energy, allowing her to focus when she returns to studying. All 4 of these students are studying the same material, but they're doing so in different ways. Now, this doesn't guarantee that they'll all get the same grades, but by determining their learning style and finding study methods that work for them, they just might find themselves getting better results.
Ma'am, sorry, Rema here.
Yeah.
My internet was very unstable. My Wi-Fi got disconnected suddenly. So
So I admitted all. I saw that you were also in the waiting room.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
Okay, so all are in now? Yeah. Okay. So now there is one more video which I will share. So.
That allows anyone, regardless.
Have you ever wondered why you're able to pick up certain skills or concepts more quickly or easily compared to others? Have you ever been jealous that your friend is able to learn languages, for example, faster than you no matter what you seem to try? This is because everyone has a natural inclination towards certain skills, and they gravitate towards activities and professions that complement those skills. This can also be attributed to one's unique learning style, where abilities that work well with a certain learning style might be grasped and retained faster than others. Today, we'll briefly look at a common model.
Thumbs up on your screen if it's visible. I'm just pausing it for a while. It's visible. You can hear and see, right? The video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Together called the VARC model. So stay tuned.
अरे देखो चार्जिंग हो रहा है ना बेटा बस चेक कर लो ना हाँ हो रहा है
Neil Fleming, an education inspector from New Zealand, took his experience working with schools to research education and learning at Lincoln University. Beginning with the work that American Walter Burke-Barb and his colleagues began with the VAC model, where the learning styles or modalities are broken down into visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, as well as the representational systems and neurolinguistic programming, Fleming refined the definition of a visual learner to include an additional group, the read-write group. This type of learner is someone who responds well to visual aids, but not necessarily respond well to visual aids of the written word, and these lack the color and shape cues. Through his work, his team developed a questionnaire to help identify an individual's learning style. To help us illustrate the differences between each learning style in the VARC model, let's create a simple scenario. Teach someone how to get to the post office to mail a letter. Here is our visual learner. Someone with this learning style performs best when given visual media to understand a concept. While this does not include still images or photographs, these may include maps, diagrams, graphs, charts, and through the use of symbols. For symbols, let's take a closer look at our map. Right now, it looks a little empty, but by adding symbols, shapes, and arrows, we can create reference points for our student to more clearly visualize where they are and where they need to go in order to get to the post office. Now let's meet our auditory learner. This type of learner does their best when learning from spoken sources such as lectures and group discussion, as well as digital audio sources such as radio or podcasts. Certain written media such as web chat and email could be grouped here as well, since it is more commonly written in a non-formal way that is similar to speaking. Another way an auditory learner can learn more successfully is when they hear something someone has said, rearrange it in their own words, and then saying it out loud to confirm their understanding. A simple example could be if our student asks our teacher, "What time is it?" The teacher might reply, "1:30." In the student's mind, he might rephrase it to 1:30, since that is the way he would normally say it, and then ask his teacher to check if it is correct. The boy now has full understanding of the information the teacher gave to him by learning through speaking out loud in his own way. To help our student learn how to get to the post office, he will be most successful if we provide clear verbal instructions and allow time in case he wants to confirm details of what we have said. Our read-write learner prefers information displayed in words. This is a common modality amongst teachers and students, and being able to read and write well is often a trait that is looked at when graduates are applying for jobs. Read-write learners do well with learning from lists, diaries, dictionaries, and from the internet, among others. By giving our student a written list of directions, they will be able to understand more easily how to get to the post office. Now we have arrived at our final modality, the kinesthetic learner. These types of learners learn best through action. These can either be performed directly, observed, or through simulation, but what is essential is that it feels real, that there is a sense of reality or concrete nature to the example. In order to best learn how to get to the post office, our student might ask the teacher what other shops are near the post office. The teacher might reply, "It is across the street from the coffee shop." Our student then cycles through his memories and recalls a time he went to the coffee shop with his mother. Using this prior experience, the student begins to fit the pieces of the puzzle together and is able to figure out how to get to the post office. Although the teacher's answer triggered the student's memory, what the teacher said is less important in allowing the student to gain understanding. It was our student using that memory to recall where the coffee shop is and how to get there, and then building upon that past experience to apply it to the new task of going to the post office. We've finally arrived at the post office, and as we can see, all our learners have arrived. While we all might learn differently and have our own unique strengths, by adapting how we approach figuring out a task, we can all be successful together. Now you might be asking, but what if I'm somewhere in between these learning styles? Or I find that I am a different learning style depending on what I am learning. Where do I fit? The VARK model accounts for this through the use of multimodality. Life is complex, and so are we, and often a given task might be completed most effectively through mixing these styles. In the VARK model, there are two types of multimodalities. For VARK Type 1, these learners select one of their modalities that they are most comfortable with in a context-specific manner. VARK Type 2 differentiates itself from Type 1 in that Type 2 learners require that all of their learning styles must be utilized before they are able to complete a given task. These learners might be seen as slower as they gather information in different ways, or may appear to procrastinate. Although some may view this as negative, however, it is often the case that these learners are able to solve problems more effectively since they have a greater understanding of the task, having looked at it using different learning techniques.
Okay. So is it clear? Any doubts here from these two videos that we saw?
No doubts, ma'am.
Okay. So this is another perspective to the learning styles. I'll just put it up on the chat box. You can see it later
Madam,
on.
I have one question, Aprajit here.
Aprajit, tell me.
Yeah, those who have the R type, that's a read and write.
Read, write, yeah.
Read and write. During training sessions, they might miss a few of things because they are too much focused in writing.
They are too much focused on writing. Yeah, because at a certain point of time, your mind will focus on only one activity, right? So if you are writing, if you want to get a better result, you have to complete the writing bit of it and then switch on to another style.
Fine. Okay.
Right? But it's always a mix of styles that we saw. So multimodalities, it works like that. You always have a mix of styles to have a better learning, to consume different kinds of content, and also to retain the content. So you will adopt to multiple styles.
It's all multimodality is all about the balancing between two styles.
2 or 3 styles, yes. So we are talking about 4 styles here at this juncture, which is the audio, visual, kinesthetic, and read-write.
And
So read-write.
clear. Thank you.
So read-write also can be mapped with visual.
Okay. Fine.
Right. Writing can be worked because when you write, if you see this third video, okay, if you want me to play it, I will play it for all of you. Otherwise, if you see this third video, okay, you will see that there are a lot of color combinations which are being used in the reading and writing, so that retention becomes easier if you are reading and you are using the color combinations while making notes or something. And if you are writing, so if you're writing on a hard paper and you are submitting it for evaluation, what happens, you will see that a lot of times you mark the bullets in a different color. You underline the headings with a different ink,
Yes.
right? So just to highlight and just to give a better view for the reader, because you are writing and you are sending it to somebody who will read it. So for that person who is an evaluator, is also a learner, is also a trainer, right? So the way he or she will consume that writing of yours and retain also is something that you have to make your paper stand out, right? So you will use different color combinations to make it look good. Okay, not just look good, but also make it appealing for the reader. Okay, so it's a mix and match that you apply. Okay, kinesthetic also, one more important point is we spoke about doing. It's also about sensing. It's also about feeling. So kinesthetic is all about touch, which means feeling, doing, and sensing. Okay, so if you remember in one of the videos, that is the second video, there was a recall of the kinesthetic example that was given, right? So in order that she reaches the post office, she had a recall of previous memory. That is also doing plus sensing and feeling. Did you get that bit?
Fine. Yeah.
Did you observe that?
I got it. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So that student or that learner took the help of one incident wherein she kind of picturized the same place that she went with her mom. Okay, so that was more about the feeling, the sensing, and then it actually helped her to reach that place much faster because of the reflection, because of the recall.
Absolutely.
It's again the learning 8 styles that we spoke about, right? Intrapersonal. It's more about the self-reflection.
Intrapersonal.
Yeah, so it's a mix of everything that you have to put together just to ensure that the impact is created. The 4 levels of learning styles that we spoke about last time, plus the 8 learning styles, yeah? And we are mapping it down to 4 to simplify it, but however, the rest all falls either with kinesthetic or read-write or auditory or visual. Okay, and then you have, of course, the learning theories that we will see, the adult learning theories, yeah, which makes a learning more impactful, more retainable. Yeah, we can consume different kind of content, not just one type, but different kinds of content by the learning styles we adopt.
Ma'am,
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, Mitu.
Ma'am, one quick question. Like you said that you can have different learning styles with different topics. So is it possible that a person's learning style changes over time?
Yes,
It will
very
just
much,
adopt
very
more.
much, very much.
Okay.
See, it works on, see, I'll tell you, as a person experience different incidents in life, okay, it's a journey by itself. So life experiences make us adapt to different learning styles. Okay, so that's how it happens. The journey helps us to pick and choose. We become more conscious because consciously we will take a conscious decision that this works better or that works better.
Ma'am, one more question. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, no problem.
Ma'am, this phase where we are transitioning from completely reading, writing on paper by hand to where we are completely going, tech savvy, where we're using laptops and mobile phones. So there are candidates in the sessions that we experience are very well, they are more of a read and write person. But when it comes to technology, they feel a little lost because they're using thing and are not able to, type with that speed, maybe with that focus. So in that scenario, how can we help them?
So the best approach would be, um, survival of the fittest. You have heard about this, right?
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest. And there is something more which has got added because of all this transitioning which is happening because of COVID. Creativity is which will help us survive. Yeah. So given this situation, how fast we are adopting, and how we are kind of letting go certain things which we did heavily on past, and we are adopting to the new changes. So change management, being flexible about it and learning new things is the call for the day. Okay, it's a need of the hour. So would you want to stay back, or would you want to survive?
Definitely.
That's very important. Okay, so that we have to take a conscious call. Number one.
How
Number
do we
two.
help them with that?
Yeah, I'll just tell you.
Sorry. Yeah.
I'll come back to your question. So
yeah.
Second point is, to give more flexibility. Now, in a situation where the exams were being conducted online, right? People were used to of reading, writing. Everybody is having their own pace. So the examiner ensured that, again, a blended model would be good, because everybody has their own pace of transition. Okay, they have their own pace of transition. So this was a quick transition wherein, within 1 month we decided to go online. So we gave that option of read write, still applicable. Also, some people who are tech savvy, used to of the writing speed, right, on the text editor. So we gave that option as well. So people who are tech savvy, people who could not transition fast, but I won't say no, they could not transition, but they're, it's kind of a habit. Okay, so taking into consideration all this into picture, options were being given, and options should be given. Okay, so that's my take. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
You had another question?
No, that's about it.
Okay, all right. So this time has actually taught us how to accelerate in whatever we do. This 6 months or 8 months, and going forward as well, another 1 year maybe, it has taught us how to accelerate. Yeah, digitalization, we have been talking about it for quite some time. Companies were adopting to it. Some already were in a matured model stage, wherein they are actually so prepared that they have been doing digitalization to some extent 1 year back or 2 years back. Now it's more easy for them to quickly transition. Okay, but there are organizations who are not prepared at all. Okay, so the transition, getting the budget approval, putting everybody in the system, in the process of digitalization, it's a humongous task for them. During this time, when there is a challenge in meeting face to face, you have to kind of rely on virtual medium to make that transition as quick as possible, because if you are a business partner, the onus of ensuring the productivity end of the day lies on you as well, right? So the transitioning is very, very important. So this pandemic has taught us to accelerate, okay, in whatever we do, be it digitalization, be it automation, be it transitioning to a virtual platform, be it ensuring talent engagement on that virtual platform. So everything is changed and it has accelerated. Probably digitalization in a normal path would have taken 2 years more. So the 2 years has come now already. So that's how we have accelerated. So it's survival of the fittest. It's survival of the creativist.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So I have given a link here. There are plenty of such resources available on the internet. You can take up the questionnaire, find out your style. You can also roll it down to your audience to find out their style so that you can design, develop your content around it. Okay. So you can take it up. I'll just put it up on the chat box. My screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so moving on, we have heard of the term pedagogy, right? Pedagogy is like, you have a set curriculum and students are required to learn around that curriculum and write exams. Teachers are required to follow that curriculum and deliver sessions. You're able to see my screen? Yeah, full screen. Give a thumbs up on your video.
Yes, we can
Okay.
see that.
Yes.
Okay, so the teachers are also, getting aligned to that pedagogy or the curriculum, and they will be teaching or they will be demonstrating. So it's more like, demonstration, teaching, or whatever method each of the faculties they want to adopt to make it more retainable and more impactful for the learners. So andragogy is a layer which is above pedagogy. It includes the adult learning when we're talking about the adult learning. So it includes the adult learning methods, principles, cognitive method, experiential method. Under this cognitive, under this experiential, you have plethora of methods that you can adopt to make it more interesting, to make it more, retainable for the learners. So straight lecture method, you have discussion method, you have role plays. Just yesterday, I did one role play for a leadership team. In the evening, I had the session. So it was for a IT organization. And these are for the delivery partners, that is the vertical heads of each vertical who were in the capability of delivery role, or you can say the practice heads. Okay, so we did role play on change communication and risk negotiation. These were the two topics. So role play was done half an hour only on the virtual medium. Okay, each topic only half an hour on a virtual medium. 15 minutes was for the role play where I acted as a client. Okay, and that company, which is an IT consulting and technology company, 3 representations were there who I enacted as a, sorry?
Ma'am, I'm
Yes,
sorry
Meena?
to interrupt you. Ma'am, there are some people waiting in the lounge and they're asking.
Hema, where is Hema? Where are you, Hema?
Ma'am, once I logged in, I think co-hosting got.
Oh, okay. I just admitted all.
I myself was logged out now, so yeah.
I'm making you the co-host again.
Yeah.
Yes. Made you the co-host. Okay, Hema, you are the co-host now.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, so 15 minutes, half an hour was split into 2 parts. One was the actual role play happening, and the next 15 minutes was about the coaching inputs, the feedbacks that were given to both the teams. That is, out of 5-member team, it was like 2 of them were observers and 3 of them played the role of the client role play, right? It's called the client role play. I acted as a client. 3 of them, they met me to ensure that, there is a win-win for the change negotiation for one part and risk negotiation for another part. Okay, so the role play gave them a perspective, bringing in the actual situation onto a virtual platform wherein one is acting as the client and the other members are acting as observers or playing the role of a negotiator, right? So bringing in the actual scenario and doing these role plays are really enriching in terms of giving different perspectives, because the coach will then tell them what could have been better, how they could have approached better, what went right, what went wrong, and so on, right? So role play is a very powerful tool. Also, you have behavioral modeling. Okay, so there are lots of such methods that you can adopt. Pick and choose relevant to your learning objective, outcome, what you want to achieve. Okay, so the learning objectives have to be clearly defined, which is completely based on the need analysis that you have done. The need analysis is setting your ground. So if that goes wrong, then everything will go wrong. If the need analysis is stronger, you've done it thoroughly and accurately, and you have captured it well, then you have to focus on your objectives and the learning outcomes. And then in between that journey of during during the training, you have to do continuously the evaluation, how it's going, how well it can go, what changes are required as the training is going also. Because within the classroom is where the formal learning happens, the 10%. After the classroom is where the 70% and 20% happen in the 70-20-10 model. Okay, so 10% is only allowing you to learn something. So old knowledge plus new knowledge is the adult learning. Old knowledge plus new knowledge is adult learning. Okay, so in the classroom setup, it's happening like that. And then you are actually implementing it in the real-time scenario and learning from there and improvising on that, right? So 70 and 20 works over there.
Yeah, ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Before you made me co-host, I think they were waiting. I can't see them now.
I admitted them.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. These are the 4 adult learning theories.
Ma'am, sorry, I'm
yes,
just interrupting. Ma'am, you talked about this adult learning andragogy. You were discussing about pedagogy something. What was that? Can you just?
Pedagogy is the set curriculum. Universities will have pedagogy. Schools, management institutions, engineering colleges, they will have pedagogy. They have a set curriculum which you have to follow. So learners have to follow that curriculum and teachers have to follow that curriculum. Exam will be on that curriculum. So it's a stated curriculum. But andragogy is applying multiple layers to ensure that the learning is happening. So in a pedagogy, what happens is in a classroom, if you are just you just have to follow the subject, that curriculum, you will not give more importance to whether the learner is absorbing, if the learner is learning, if the retention is happening, because you are more focused on just completing the syllabus. But in andragogy, what happens is your focus is going over and beyond the syllabus. Okay, so syllabus is there. You have a structured syllabus. So pedagogy plus other elements to make andragogy. Okay, so andragogy is the adult learning methods, styles, principles you are adopting to ensure that the learning is happening. The learning impact is created. Okay, there is a retention which is happening. So that's the application of different methodologies that you want to bring in just to ensure all of this is taken care of.
Okay, so in the pedagogy, we ensure that learning is happening, so we can modify as per our convenience or as per the participants' convenience, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you also
you adopt
mentioned
different styles.
Different styles.
And you adopt different styles.
In between, we evaluate the training session and their learnings.
So evaluation, when we do this in the next semester, there's a paper called Training Measurement and Evaluation. So evaluation is not just towards the end. Evaluation is at the beginning because that's where you will find out what are the gaps. That's where you do the training need analysis. Okay, and there are different ways of collecting the data and then analyzing the data. And then drawing to a point where you are writing down your objectives and the outcomes. Okay, so that is pre-training. During the training, if it's a 1 day, if it's a 5 days, it's a 1 month. Would you want to wait for 1 month to get over and then do an evaluation of how the training went? It's too late.
Yeah.
You would want to take information in a formal way, informal way from the participants. Also, give inputs to the trainer or the facilitator or the coach. Yeah, that I think, we might want to include this. I think, the participants are expecting more of this. So you have to be subtle and pass on the message to the respective trainer, facilitator, coach, just to ensure that you are filling in the gap. Because the stakeholder responsibility lies not only with the trainer or the facilitator. Stakeholder responsibility is a shared responsibility, shared ownership of everybody directly, indirectly in the who are responsible for the success or failure of the training. Okay, so it can be training manager himself, it can be the trainer, it can be the participants, it can be the people who are approving the budget, it can be the participants manager, skip manager, everybody is responsible. So once the training is going on, you should not be taking a backseat key, the training is going on, I will check after 1 hour, 2 hours. So just whenever you have a break time, you have to ensure that you are coming into the scenario to bridge gaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Thank
that
you.
is during the process, the evaluation is happening. And then the evaluation also should happen towards the end, which is more of summative in nature. Okay, so you can generate more recommendations. You can find out what went wrong, what could have been better, how the design should have been better, how the materials, content should have been more resourceful, more enriching. If you want to have a different kind of intervention in terms of bringing in more flavors by including different trainers, because trainers will have different styles of delivery. So want to bring it a variety or flavor, you might want to do that going forward. So a lot of learnings will happen also post.
Right, ma'am.
So
So
that's
even
the journey to make it more effective
Ma'am?
and the application of andragogy over there. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, Neena here.
Yes, Neena.
I have a question. Ma'am, with the feedback that we've been receiving from the participants who've been attending the training program that we've been conducting for the past couple of months, and it continuously goes on for the continuous learning and improvement. Most of the participants have come back saying that the content, if the content had been a little more, maybe the delivery and the effectiveness of the program is captured, but when it comes to the content of it, they're saying that if the content is a little more. So I don't know if the where I'm lacking in terms of content, because most of the content is around, depending on the topic, some content has about 22 to 23 slides, and it's all pictorial, with a little bit of information that is given there describing that particular design or that particular topic. But apart from that, I'm unsure as what more can be put, or how can I go ahead looking at this situation for an andragogy learner.
Right. So I'll give you an example. In Schneider, when I was part of that, the training and OD team, we had a LMS, which is a very, I would say it's like a legacy system. Okay. So we had localized it. When I say legacy system, Schneider Electric, it's a global learning platform that we had, but with the Indian context, the learning styles we adopt, okay, our preferences, we actually localized the tool as well. Okay, keeping the framework which was there at a global level similar, but we localized it to some extent. Now, how did we localize that? So we tied up with MIT, Harvard. So there are a couple of major institutions that we tied up with at a India level, just to ensure that the content which is coming in, I mean, we are putting our content. We used to have champions, so we opened it up for the entire India team that please, we had a repository as well, wherein we told the Indian, our employees, I mean, when I say Indian, not employees, but within the Indian subcontinent, whoever were there, so we told them, ki, whatever you have in the content, you put it in the repository for us. Have it well researched, put fresh content, put content which is very relevant and well researched. So we gave them certain criteria. So basis on that criteria, we had a lot of content coming in from project managers, program managers, technical architects, delivery managers. So every level participated within India. Okay, and we had a huge content database, but we had a team also who were kind of going through the content to see the freshness of information, relevance of information, the richness of information, because we didn't want to have something which is really mundane, which is really known. Even the readers who were reading or screening those content, they were given clear instructions that if you feel that you already know it, please don't consider it, because then others also, we will consider that they also know it. So it's not new. So if you think that you are learning something from certain content, consider that, keep it aside, and then we will have further research on those content. And we used to have champions also. Whoever contributed monthly basis, we used to make them champion of high level content. So people used to get some clue as to what kind of content we want. That is the involvement or engaging the internal people. In addition, we used to have a tie-up with all these big institutions like Harvard, INSEAD, MIT to download the content from there, which used to be well researched. So we used to put together the internally one content, WON, okay, one content to the well-researched content from these institutions. So we used to have a huge database of curated, you can say the knowledge management system, right? KMS, knowledge management system integrated with the LMS. So that's how we used to ensure the richness of the content. So when we are doing sessions like 1 day, 2 day, 3 days by our internal trainers or facilitators, we used to refer back to those contents as well. So we had our own content, okay, which is very relevant and which is kind of, you know, as I mentioned, I gave you that point of if 5 people know the content, then it's not a rich content. If there is something where, you know, some element of unknown is coming into picture, where even if it's 10% also, it's a good content, right? So so that's what we used to do. So taking clues from here, Nina, I think that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Thank you so much. That'll actually help me out in delivering, making better
Yes, you
content.
can implement this. I mean, it's see, KMS building KMS is something which is a very hard work. It's not an easy cake.
Right.
It's not a cakewalk, I would say. But yeah, the entire team has to, you know, put sufficient amount of time to ensure that you have a rich content base.
Yes. Thank you
Yeah?
so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So these are the adult learning theories that you have. You are well aware of, most of you. But however, you know, we have to always bring this together. Okay, so self-directed. Adults are self-directed. They're capable of making decisions. They learn more through guided discussion, more practical approach, having the ambience, which is more informal. If you have always a stick situation, people will not open up. So you have to ensure that the ambience is such that people just open up. You have to, you know, create that ambience, so more informal, more learner-centric, and more, you know, free-flowing, more friendly. Okay. Adults learn best when there is a need. So in the last class, we spoke about what was your need to join this particular program. It might be company who have sponsored your program, or it might be your self-drive that is asking you consciously to do this, learn this, implement this at your workplace. So there must be a dire need. And if there is a dire need, only you will learn more. You will contribute more. Okay, they want practical advice, which they will implement outside the classroom. And presenting ideas in a more interesting way, different ways, and enabling a lot of interaction. Okay, so sometimes it happens that, you know, you don't encourage questions. I mean, you don't say that I don't want questions or I don't want disturbance in between, but you have a body language which shows that, you know, you are kind of non-approachable. So if any trainer or any facilitator or any coach is having such approach, then I think it's better not to practice that, because that does not comply with the adult learning theory. Okay, so we have to continuously learn ourselves. Okay, we have to continuously learn, we have to unlearn, we have to relearn, we have to reskill ourselves to ensure that we are welcoming as many questions from the participants, so that there is a two-way communication, there is a more you know, exchange of learning between each other. It's not just a one-way traffic, it's a collaborative approach. Okay, moving on. These are some of the principles. So these principles are actually drawn from the theories itself. The adult learning theory is what we covered just now. So self-directed, make it more experiential, give a chance to the participants to share their own experience as well. That makes it more enriching for the learner himself, for the other learners around him, and also, you know, it creates a different aura inside the class as well. So allow people to share. The learning is relevant when it is meeting the current scenario, when it's relevant to current role, right? Now, if I say that, you know, I have my delivery managers in my training room, but and we are talking about cells. It makes more sense. But when I have delivery partners in my room, training room, and I'm talking something which is completely irrelevant, it doesn't make any sense. So make the learning more relevant to the current role. Okay, the instruction is problem centric. The learners are motivated. The learning is focused on goals. The learning is more practical, and learners like to be respected. So give respect, earn respect. So give respect, earn respect. So that's how it is. Let me quickly explain also the learning style. Yes, Piyush.
What does it mean? Like old learning plus new learning is called adult learning. It's just on the
Old knowledge
old
plus
knowledge,
new
sorry.
knowledge is adult learning. So it's more about the unlearn and the relearn.
But ma'am, this is the hardest thing a person can have, like unlearning the things. Like if
See,
you
our brain is like a, okay, just visualize this. Our brain is like a cabbage.
right.
Cabbage. Okay, so you have left brain and right brain. Yeah. Now, left brain is what? More emotional thinking. Right brain is what? More rational thinking.
Logical, rational, right?
Right? Logical is again the right brain.
Yeah, right.
Right? Okay, so the emotional thinking part. Now, if anybody is heavy on emotional thinking, so everything he or she decides upon has an influence of emotions in it. What happens? It creates a lot of unhappy situations sometimes. So do you want to continue that? I mean, you means anybody. Do you still want to continue that? Create unhappy situations to self, to others, always going forward? When a lot of emotions are involved in your thinking process, a lot of times you have to take a rational call. So you have to switch quickly to allow your mind to ignore the emotional bit and focus more on logical, analytical, and rational.
Ma'am, but that's what I'm talking
So that
about.
is a switch that you have to do. So you have to unlearn what you have been doing through your emotional way of thinking to allowing the new thought process to come in, learn more through that.
And that's why this is
Yes,
the this is the hardest thing to for a man to unlearn anything. This is the reason, like in the present scenario, so many depression cases are coming. The people are like not happy and stressful life is going because they are not able to unlearn their bad time or the memory, whatever we want to say. Everyone knows what is right and what is wrong, but the problem is we are not able to implement those things.
So it's I would say it's a the conscious call, how firm you are. It's all about the affirmations. Yeah, affirmations. So we sometimes say that do a self-talk. How many of us will do a self-talk? When I say self-talk, right? I will want to get rid of this. I will want to pause here. I will want to stop this. How many times in a day we will self-talk?
Hardly anyone does that.
That's a practice. So life is, let me bring in an analogy here, to explain you your query. Life is like traffic signal. If I say life is like traffic signal. Traffic signal, it will have what all colors and what it means?
Red is stop, yellow is ready, and green is let's go.
Right. So when I say life is like traffic signal, so we have to picturize what we want to stop, what we want to pause, what we want to start. Something which is a habit, which had been a habit for several years, several months. It's very difficult to stop suddenly.
Right.
But it is doable.
True, ma'am.
If you want to suddenly jump into stopping something which you have been doing for a longer time, you will crave for it more later on.
Right.
So there is something called, you need to do it in a very pausable manner. Pausable.
Pausable
pausable manner. Don't just stop something. do it in a very sluggish manner.
Step by step, slowly.
Step by step, slowly and gradually over a period of time. And there is something called 21 days cycle.
Right, ma'am.
Yeah. So
Biological
have a
cycle.
repetition of that 21 days cycle. So that's why I say go in a very sluggish manner.
Okay.
Don't just jump into stopping something. You will crave for it even more later on.
Sure.
Okay, so
thank you.
Do in a very sluggish way, and you will see that becomes part of your habit. Habit is not something which you build over night. You do not build a habit overnight.
Right, ma'am.
You have to give it a time. And that time I'm talking about, that 21 days cycle. Repeat that 21 days cycle if you want to get rid of a particular habit. This is a habit. To get rid of a particular habit.
True, ma'am. True.
Yeah. So it requires time. Time is the best healer. Time is the best teller.
Right, ma'am.
E-L-L-E-R.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So I have certain chat messages. Atomic Habits. Yes, very good book. You can read Atomic Habits by James Clear. Very nice book. Okay, let me move on. So Cope's learning cycle, we will integrate this with our adult learning style as well. David Cope, okay, so there are 4 stages if you see here: assimilator, converger, accommodator, and diverger. Now, if I give you an example, it will be easier for you to relate and remember forever. Okay, it's not just some terms which you want to memorize. Don't memorize anything. It's just you have to map it with certain examples to make it returnable for you lifelong. Okay, so starting with assimilation. Okay, so assimilation is what? I have a chat message. So Mitu says, convincing whether you want to learn and how badly you want to learn and what adjustments you need to do. Absolutely, absolutely. So it's a conscious call, self-talk as many times, affirmation, affirm to yourself. Continuously you repeat certain things which you want to avoid, which you want to stop, and which you want to do. Okay, so that self-talk multiple times in a day will set it will set a trend by itself. Yeah, thank you, Mitu. Okay, so let me give you an example. TED Talks, how many of you watch TED Talks on a regular basis?
Me, ma'am.
Maybe at least once in a week?
I watch, ma'am.
Okay.
Not regularly, but
maybe once in a week. That's the frequency.
About 2 to 3 times a week, ma'am, because
yeah.
I get a lot of content from there to show it in the classes. So I watch it about 2 to 3 times a week.
Good. Okay, now given that example of TED Talk, so Nina, I think you mentioned that word watch.
Yes, ma'am.
So you see here, it resonates so much.
Yes.
So you watch a particular TED Talk. Now this is my example. You watch a particular TED Talk. So as you watch, does it generate some process of thinking? Yes, no?
Yes, yes, it does, ma'am.
It does. So you are watching, you are thinking at the same time because the mind is active. Your neurons are active. Your neurons are connecting with other neurons, right?
Yes.
So your multiple intelligence is active.
Right.
So you are thinking, you are watching, you are thinking. Now, after you have completed watching that TED Talk, okay, if you are a visual learner, you would have adopted that style. Audio also, you would have adopted that style because it's audio, right? You are listening to it.
Right.
And then reading, writing, you are making notes. You are making your content around it, right? And
yes.
kinesthetic now will come into picture. So now you have heard, you have seen, you have read, you have written, you have now the urge would be to apply that kinesthetic.
Right.
So you will go back to your training room or whatever platform that you have, and you want to do whatever you have learned. Okay. So while you are doing, say if you are performing on the stage, because TED Talk gives you content, it also allows you to kind of understand how a person faces the audience and speaks spontaneously without any kind of breaks, interruptions, and the thought process just flows. So that's quite a bit of learning for a public speaker, for an orator, for a speaker. Okay. So now, and the body language, it's not just speaking. The complete thing is also about the non-verbal bit of it, which is the body language. So verbal and non-verbal. A lot of learnings happen through TED Talks or any such good videos. So now you plan to go to the stage and talk on the same topic. So you have got a platform, you are actually doing it. While you are doing it, it's not just a prompter that you have in front of you. You are not reading out the prompter to the audience. You are making your thinking process activated to recall and to speak. Okay, so your thinking is also being activated that time when you are doing. So doing plus thinking works as a converge. So you are converging all the content, data, information, what you have learned, assimilated, and then you are giving out, delivering. Okay, so that's a converger. After that stage, so I won't say it's after, sometimes it overlaps. Feeling. So as you are doing on the performing on the stage, I'm sure that the feeling element is also cropping in for the reason when you look at the audience. When you look at the audience, right, you are able to see that some are really attentive, some are like, doing this, some are like looking somewhere elsewhere, some are smiling. So different faces, different verbal, the non-verbal behavior which reflects on the face. You're able to see all of that. So it's a feeling, it's a connection that you are building with your audience while you are delivering on the stage, right? So doing, feeling, and thinking sometimes happens at the same time, or maybe once you have delivered, you are asking questions, you're interacting, you are trying to get their point of view. So that's where the connection you are building. Okay, so it can happen a little later as well. So it depends how you are driving it. So converger and then accommodator. Okay, the word accommodator also says that, you are accommodating different situations to come to you. Okay, after this is done, what happens is the watching and the feeling. So now you have finished your performance over there. You are now seeing your performance. So how you have done. Recording will be there for you to see how you have performed. So you will watch, you will feel, and you will again start thinking. Okay, so this could have been better. I could have done this well. This went on really well. I'm surprised that I have done this. So all these things you will start connecting to the process of feeling, to the process of thinking. And then the next time of doing, converging. So what you have learned from there, what you can do better, you will again re-perform on the stage, and you will again get inputs from there. So it's a continuous process. So that's where assimilation, convergence, accommodation, and divergence. And again, assimilation, the loop goes on. So that's what is the Kolb's learning style, which is also integrated with the adult learning style. Any questions? Yes, no?
No, ma'am, all clear.
Otherwise, I'll move on. Okay. Okay, Sudhin asks, is it same as micro teaching? Micro teaching is mostly, convergence. Okay. To some extent, yes, you have received information. Okay, but when you say micro, what do you mean? Micro and macro teaching. Sudhir, you can unmute yourself. Sudhin.
Ma'am, actually in micro teaching, whatever you do is recorded in a video, and you try to learn what mistakes you have done and what are your positivities and negativities. Then during the next session, you try to improvise on that. So it's again finding the fault within you.
Okay, that way. Got it. All right. So this is a part of learning, right? I mean, all of us, as I was mentioning, self-talk, practice. Even the greatest of the orators or the speakers, Steve Jobs, right? Say, for example, Apple's Steve Jobs. He also used to practice multiple times before he used to go on stage. If you have seen some of his videos, okay? Multiple times. So practice is something we are talking about in the process of self learning, micro teaching. You can say that you are doing this discrete level of correction, recording and correction. So it's part of the practice journey. Yeah, Sudhin? Did it clarify, Sudhin? Sudhin, you are there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's part of the practice journey. Okay, so we do micro reflections, self-reflections, corrections in the process. Okay. So let me move on.
Ma'am, one doubt here.
Yes, Vishnu.
Ma'am, when we do the final phase, wherein which we evaluate ourselves by watching and seeing it how well we did it. So I think we always drive a comparison between what should it have been to what it is, right? So in your example, like a TED talk, we have a reference of what it should have been, but in the other case, we don't have. So where do I keep my benchmark on how I shouldn't be a judge of how it should have been. So how do you actually deal with this?
Okay. In situations where you are a voracious reader, okay, and you follow a lot of best practices practiced by several organizations in your capacity, okay, you would have got a lot of data being collected in your mind. So you don't have a reference frame as such. But then through the process of knowing more about your environment, your market, your job profile, what it is like in the market, what is the benchmark over there, you would have already got a fair idea. So having that as your reference frame, you will want to then make it or approach towards that excellence.
Right. So I think it's more about how well the audience retain it. We should be getting an evaluation on that part, I believe.
Awareness.
Okay, right, fine.
Yeah. So the first step is self-awareness. For anything and everything, self-awareness plays a very critical role. Yeah. So that's why we say that we continuously have to upgrade. TED Talk was a direct reference frame for us if we are, say, tomorrow giving a session on public speaking. Okay, so you have a lot of cues that you can draw from multiple good speakers over there. Yeah, in terms of the verbal communication, in terms of the non-verbal aspects. So you have a referencing. Okay, but now in a situation where you are planning to, kind of rework or re-engineer on your company's policies. Okay, now that it's a challenging time and your previous certain policies will not hold good, you will want to follow what is predominant in this current context. Okay, you might want to connect with a lot of people, attend a lot of conferences, talk online, offline to a lot of your friends, colleagues, understand what companies are doing in the current context, right? What are the best practices? How transitions are happening, how change management is happening, how organizational contexts are changing. So all these things you will want to be aware of. So once you are aware of all this, then you have to use your previous experience, your collective wisdom, because you will be working with a team. Success depends on just not individual delivery, but as a team, you are moving forward. So take their collective wisdom. And once you have the collective wisdom, you will be able to execute, right? So planning, organizing, and then execution, leading and execution. The basic management steps of plan, organize, lead, and execute. Okay, so once you are aware, you will do the careful planning thereafter. You will organize things with your prior experience and the collective wisdom that you have in your team. You will lead from front and you will execute it.
Right.
And then you see, what went wrong, what went right, and then again follow the best practices and kind of replicate going forward.
Right. That's
yeah, Vishnu? Okay. So these are certain adult learning principles, just the application part of it. You can have that, you can align the learnings with the goals. That's what we have been speaking, that align the learning with the current role, with the goals, organization context, market scenario, all of that. So make learning an adventure. It should not be a stick. It should be carrot and stick. Okay, it should be fun. It should be engaging. So learning with fun, learning is an adventure. Make it as an adventure. Okay.
Ma'am,
so
can you please put it on full screen?
Yes, Mitu.
Can you please put it on full screen?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So make learning as an adventure. Okay, have a lot of carrots. Also have a little bit of stick, because you should have the compliance bit involved. Ensure that people are crossing each hurdle in the form of having capsule modules and then a small test. They pass that test, okay, and then they move on to the next module, so on and so forth. So learning is happening. Also, there is an adventure in the journey. Okay, so personalize the learning. Very, very important. Personalize the learning. Ensure the learning materials are relevant, accessible. Today we are talking about bite-sized learning, bit-sized learning, mobile learning. Yeah, so make the learning accessible to on any device. Be it iPad, be it laptop, be it computer, be it mobile, be it any other device.
The best
make
example
learning
for
accessible. Yes, Piyush.
the best example for ensure learning material accessible, like LMS. Nowadays, companies moving.
LMS is, I would say, companies are, if I see the market situation, LXP has taken over LMS, Learning Experience Platform. So LMS, Learning Management System. Okay, so
the courses are
to some
available on
extent,
the.
it is more static in nature. So to bring in that dynamism, to create that learner experience, we have now LXP, which is an upgraded version, you can say, of LMS.
Okay.
Yeah, so LXP, you might want to look up on Google to find out more about it, how you can increase the adventure for the learners, make it more kind of great experience for them. Okay, so adapt to different learning preferences of individuals, make learning a social affair. You have Slack, you have Workday, you have Slack. So many such collaborative platforms are now available. So make it more social. I was mentioning that, we had a knowledge management system wherein we allowed our every level of employees to participate in giving their content. The criteria was anyway set. It should be well researched. It should be up above the rest. It should be, very unique. So we had the criteria. So we made it a social affair, an engaging one, so that everybody gets a platform to contribute. You will see there would be a better buy-in because they are involved, and then it won't be just a push.
Make a learning social affair is like, ma'am, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, social involvement. Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, there is a good for everybody.
We were
If
aware
everybody
about.
participates, there is a good for everybody.
Right. We were aware about the cleanliness and all the things, but then PM made it like a social affair, and everyone was contributing something with the post.
Yeah. So it was not a push because it over the period of time, the idea is to make it a pull event.
Right.
Wherein I know if I am making the environment clean around myself, I will be healthier.
Right.
Likewise, for anybody, it applies.
Right.
Right. So it's more of a pull concept. The idea is to ensure not much of push end of the day and make it more of pull. So that's why that LXP comes into picture. Okay. And you can integrate all of this, this 8 elements which are mentioned here, which are again, the adult learning principles. Okay, you can integrate while you are designing your LXP.
Ma'am, I would like to add along with Piyush, like he told about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. I'll say this pandemic also, had it been lockdown was not implemented, people would not have been in habit of wearing masks or sanitizers or something like that. So at least the whole of India, the whole of the population of India, they are aware that what actually, why actually mask and sanitizer. This is also a sort of, I don't know whether it is relevant or not.
Make it as a social aware, social process.
Social process.
So initially it was the top-down approach, but then what happened is people are becoming more cautious about their own life. Live for life. Live for life. Right? That's the tagline. Live for life. First we have to live, right?
Then for
so
life.
when we know that we have to leave, then we have to wear the mask. We have to maintain that social distancing. So we are involving ourselves in that process.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
My father expired in
I
a
have
month
just
of
15 minutes, guys. I have just 15 minutes to wrap up. So I have to move forward.
Yeah,
sorry. I will definitely hear you more in the next class about this. Sorry about this, Raj, but if there is a question, I will take it quickly. Otherwise, we'll move on.
Ma'am, what is mentioned here by
No, ma'am, please go ahead, ma'am.
All right, all right. So Raj, we'll listen to you later on. We have 5 more classes to go.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so performance is a function of motivation, AKSH, and environment. Okay, so motivation, environment, and attitude, knowledge, skill, and habit. And of course, success. How do you differentiate a high performer and somebody who has achieved success? Performance plus the enthusiasm or the energy that he or she carries along as a part of his or her life. Okay, so that's the definition of success. Okay, now moving on. This is another YouTube video you can watch later on. I can share it later on in the chat box. Moving on, these are, I wanted to run this, but it's okay. I'll play this in the next class. There is an ebook which I will share in the next class for those who wants to attend this particular, complete this particular Google form. Okay, so what motivates people and how people get motivated are two very important things when we talk about motivation. So how we get motivated and what motivates us. So when we say what includes the content and how includes the process. So what are those content and process theories? Content theory, Maslow's hierarchy of need. It includes Maslow's hierarchy of needs, ERG theory, two-factor theory, three-need theory, and McGregor's theory X and Y. And process theory, so this is what we will cover. Process theories include the goal-setting theory, the expectancy theories, equity theory, and the reinforcement theory. Now, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you are aware of this, I'm sure. There's 5 levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There's 5 levels. So starting with the base level, which is a physiological need, then comes the safety security needs, belongingness needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization or self-realization needs. So this is the most essential piece. This is our very reason for existence. This is our very reason for existence. So that's why it's mapped with the existence needs. Then you have the relatedness, relation, belongingness, affiliation. So these are the levels, okay? And then you have the growth need, which is the esteem and the self-actualization needs. So this is how these two comparisons of theories take place. But however, it is mapped with the one another, right? The Adler's need theory and the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, how the need comparison happens with these 4 theories, okay? So Maslow's, Adler's, Herzberg's, and McLaren's. So if you see here, this is the baseline. So these are the 5 levels that we have for the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We have just seen the existence needs, which is the security and the physiological needs, because these are the reason for our existence. If we don't have food, if we don't have water, if we don't have shelter, it becomes difficult for us. If you don't have a job security, imagine a situation wherein people are not having jobs in this current scenario. That is the very reason for our existence. We have job, we have salary, right? And then you can lead a life, right? Because there are a lot of dependencies, family dependencies, loan dependencies, and so on. So this is how it is mapped. Affiliation is nothing but the interpersonal relation. Yeah, so affiliation, relatedness, belongingness, that is also part of life. Esteem, growth, self-actualization, growth. If you see here, hygiene factors of two-factor theory, right? Hygiene factor and motivator. These are the two factors. So what are the hygiene factors? Now, when we speak about hygiene, hygiene means something which prevents us from getting any kind of disease. In a layman's term, hygiene. If hygiene is not there, what happens? We are prone to get diseases. Okay. Now, in a context of workplace, why it's called hygiene factor? Because in the absence of hygiene, we will be demotivated. In the absence of salary, for example, we will be demotivated. In the absence of proper work conditions, you won't be able to work at all. So that will create dissatisfaction, demotivation, right? If you don't have a job itself, that will create dissatisfaction. Okay, if you don't have a job security. So all these are hygienes in the absence of which will cause demotivation. In other words, we call it as demotivators. But here, motivators means it's above and beyond to what you have here. If you have a job, if you have a good working condition, now you will want more. So since you have a job, you are looking towards promotion, you are looking towards bonus, you are looking for salary revisions, you are looking for further achievements. So these are over and above. So that's why these are motivators. And these are hygiene factors. Okay, so that's the relation between these three. And the fourth one is need for affiliation, which is again covering the physiological needs, security needs, and the belongingness needs. So that's the need for affiliation. Then the need for power is the self-esteem, growth, advancement, achievement. This will give us a sense of achievement and a sense of having the power. Now, how anybody wants to use the power depends on the individual. Power can be used in a positive manner for good things. Power can be used in a negative manner for wrongdoings. So how somebody wants to use the power is somebody's prerogative. But however, misuse of power can give results, may not give results. So that's what we have to consciously see where and what we are heading to. Okay. And then the self-actualization, that is the need for achievement. So these are the comparisons of the need theory. So now a question to all of you, is need and want same?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay. So most of you are saying no? Yes? Okay, I'm seeing the chat box. No. Okay. So going by this, previous slide, if I go back, okay. So now in these two examples, yeah, motivators and hygiene factors, can you tell me which section is a need and which section is a want?
Ma'am, this right one is a need, and the left one is want.
Okay. Others also agree?
Like hygiene factors, working conditions, security is a basic need for any person to get motivated, to advancement, to grow, and to achieve something.
And motivators are, you are saying, the wants.
Right.
Yeah, needs are essentials and wants are desirables.
Very good. Absolutely. Both of you are right. Absolutely right. So now you can understand what is the difference between this and this. Even though we say it's a need theory, but however, these are the essentials of life, without which existence becomes difficult. But do you think without this existence becomes difficult? No. These are certain wants. Dil mange more. It's kind of that.
Ma'am, something jaan hai to jahan hai.
हाँ हाँ तो जान है तो इधर then it makes sense, right? जहाँ है. So these are the wants and these are the necessities. Okay, good. Okay, some examples are given here because Hygiene factors are the constants in life at work. Constants in life and at work, like salary, job, project. If you are working in a company, but you don't have any projects in hand, over a period of time, what happens is you will be put on bench, and then when the all these companies will sometimes do this drive of completely cleaning up the entire system. Then what happens, you will fall in that category wherein they see that people are not having any projects in hand, and why should we be giving the salaries? So directly, indirectly, over a period of time, it will impact the salaries. No project, no pay. Yeah, so project is necessary. So job security, relations, food, water, shelter, supervision. If you don't have a manager to guide you, to direct you, sometimes micromanagement, most of us do not want, but if you don't have a supervisor, you will just do, 9 o'clock you will log in, punch in, and 5 o'clock you will punch out every day. You don't know what you are doing, how much you are contributing, what you are contributing to the organization, right? So these are the hygiene factors. These are some examples of motivators, the wants. Advancement in career. Because you have a job, you want this now. Promotion, pay hike, bonus, recognition, right? So these are certain examples of hygiene factors and motivators. Theory X and theory Y, it's very simple. Y is for yes, X is for no. So these are the two personality types of people. As it clearly says here, people who are self-starters, people who are initiators, people who are motivated, people who naturally want to take more work, they want to contribute, they will drive themselves to perform more. So they are the category Y people. And any organization would actually want to have such kind of people. But there are pros and cons. The positive is that you don't have to micromanage or supervise. You give them a task and you will be rest assured that they will do it. The disadvantage is that you have to keep up with their pace. Organizations also have to keep up with their pace. Otherwise, one fine day you will realize that you have lost them. Okay, so this is the disadvantage. So you have to have a strategy around such people to make them work more effectively, give them the ambience, give them the kind of projects that they will excel in, allow them to be there as talents in your organization, and find out strategy to retain them. Yeah, that is the approach that we have to take for the theory Y. But theory X is, as it says, they are not self-starters, they don't have motivation, you have to drive them, they want to avoid work, they want to probably get into some kind of blame games and politics, they're not interested in kind of contribution that they want to make, they're only concerned about money, money and money. So this is something which you have to be aware of. So when in the process of succession planning, in the process of shared services model, if you want to transition or do a resource management, or if you want to kind of induct people, you have to be very clear about the kind of people you want to have in your organization. Okay. So now we are already at 11:27. Let me just see the chat box.
Ma'am, can you please just repeat a reference which we can take from book, Janki Raman?
Yeah. So I had this ebook which I wanted to share. Can we do a quick Google form quiz? You will get an ebook after that. It will be a good reference book for you for motivation. So there is a book on rethinking motivation. Okay, so I'll quickly run this Google form. Yeah, let me just paste the Google form link.
But if you can tell from our book as well, that will be a great help.
From your book, I don't have the exact page numbers, but you have got those two books, right? Probably in the next class, I will tell you the exact page numbers.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. So let me share the Google form.
Chapter 6 or chapter 7, I think.
Okay, good. I'm just pasting it on the chat box. Yeah. So I've just pasted it on chat box. You can just open that on a browser. Are you able to see it? The form? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So there are 3 questions. You just fill up the email ID, name, batch number. Just only give the number 83. And there are 3 questions.
And this is asking for login through our Gmail mail.
Yeah, do that. And you can submit after you have completed. You will also be able to view the score. So I'm receiving the responses. Submit, yeah. You're able to view the score as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, 15, 16. Yeah, keep submitting. So those of you who attended to today's class and also submitting this form, because we have captured the email ID, I will send you a mail with the self-study ebook on motivation.
Ma'am,
Irrespective of score, we will receive, ma'am. I think I answered one wrongly and.
No problem, we'll discuss. If there is a doubt for any question that you got the score wrong, we will discuss. If not today, just remind me in the next class because we are short of time. I will definitely do that.
Ma'am, Mitu here.
Yeah, Mitu.
Ma'am, there's a lot of confusion regarding assignments because the portal says the days are, we are past the days and...
I think there is a technical problem over there. I think Meghna also had this doubt, so I suggested to call Delhi office.
No, I had written to them. I think they have replied back saying that this is the old one message which is coming. They will update it. Assignment dates are not yet updated.
Perfect.
They told the same
enough time.
And don't worry. You will have time to do it. Just keep
because
a watch on the website.
The guidelines are very scary.
Ma'am, the deadline is not available for submitting?
No, because the classes started little late this time, right? Otherwise, if you see the prospectus, there is a schedule over there. If we are following that particular schedule, apart from this pandemic situation, then we follow those dates. But now the classes have started little late, so probably they have to revise the dates only for this year.
But examination will
so
be
let's
as
hear
scheduled.
from them.
Examination will be as scheduled in December.
Yeah. So responses, only 5 are remaining now. Sorry, 4 are remaining. Quickly submit. 23 I have received. So everybody has got scores, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Any differences in the score? If you have any clarity, if you seek any clarity, we'll discuss in the next class. Please remind me about that. Okay.
Yeah, I think if there is one answer is also wrong, the score is 0, ma'am.
No.
I got, 2 right and 1 wrong, but the score is showing as 0 only.
Score is not showing. I think you'll have to just go scroll.
View
score. There would be a small button which will come view scroll.
They're not
I've got all the 3 right. I have got all the 3 right, but the score is still showing 0 on 0.
It's
score
showing
is 0 by 0.
That's all.
The score is showing as pending.
Pending.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it is showing 0 or 0.
Okay, don't worry.
For me also, it's coming as 0. It's Sudeshna here.
Okay.
It's just tick marks. You'll get tick marks and cross. That's all.
Yeah. So
are you able to see this tick mark?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So
that is
okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine then.
And cross we can see.
Don't
So
worry.
the,
We can do a
yeah.
self-valuation over there, 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3 or 3 out of 3.
Yes, yes, yes.
If you have the ticks or the cross.
Yeah, ticks and crosses are
Cool.
there.
Okay. So in the next class, whoever have any doubt, we'll discuss in the next class. Please remind me about that. Now that I have got 24 responses out of 26, I think 2 are remaining. So please submit whenever you have time. Within tomorrow, you will get this ebook from me on your email IDs, okay, which you have mentioned here.
Ma'am, one question.
So
I
let
don't know if
me
you're going to cover
close
this.
this poll.
Yeah,
okay, let me close this poll. Yeah, 1 minute, Mithu.
Yeah.
How can we get that form, madam? I didn't get.
You have to click on the chat box. I have sent the link on the chat box. Open up the chat box and you would be able to see the link. Click on the link on a browser and then you can just fill up the form. Okay, so let me run the poll for our session today, and then as you attempt the poll, I will address your question, Neetu.
Yeah.
I have just launched the poll for all of you.
Ma'am, this is not an urgent question.
Okay, so Hemlata, I'm sorry to interrupt. Hemlata, I'm just withdrawing the co-host permission so that you can vote.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, tell me, Mithu.
Ma'am, it's not an urgent question. We can address this in the next session. I don't know if you're covering this topic. Ma'am, in adult learning, the biggest concern is everybody knows a lot of things. So how to constrain the time that you give to the public or the audience to talk? Like, if you have, or I'm sure like whenever you are taking a session, all of us have a lot of ideas in our heads. Everybody has something to add on. So how do you cut short that? Like without being rude?
So what we can do is we can have, suppose it's a 1 hour session. Okay. Now, even for this session of mine or any other faculty sessions, there is a format. Okay. So you can set certain ground rules, and the format could be like, if it's a 1 hour session, you can have 20 minutes or 30 minutes of actual delivery, and the remaining half an hour or 15 minutes, you can just time it out accordingly. And the remaining 15 minutes or 10 minutes could be question and answer round. So you can set a pattern, you can set a format, and then do it.
So the advisable thing is 50-50.
Advisable thing depends on the nature of the topic as well.
Okay.
If the topic calls for a lot of discussions and there are a lot of concern areas in the minds of the people, you would want to open up for more discussion rather than having a lot of delivery.
Okay, and what if like you have a person like me who keeps asking?
3 more remaining to vote. Yes, Mithu.
And if you have a person who keeps asking a lot of questions like me, and that's the only person who keeps asking, so how do you encourage others to get involved too?
Yes. So you have to kind of put them into the spotlight. Okay. So you put them into the spotlight. So take their name and say that we want to give everybody an opportunity. So I will address your question as per the format in the break time, or otherwise we can connect offline.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You should not say no, because you want to address the questions, but if there are so many questions coming in from one person, you're not giving chance to others.
Exactly.
So make it very obvious, even setting the expectations for the others that they have equal opportunity to participate.
And is it okay to pinpoint people, like people who are not answering?
Absolutely. You can put them into the spotlight sometimes. Yes, you can do that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was an amazing session.
But there's a subtle way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 more remaining. 23 of 25. So 2 more remaining. This is the attendance sheet as well.
Ma'am, Ram here.
Yes, Ram.
Just a small query. So whatever topic is reflecting in the
1 more remaining.
ISTD website for assignment, will that be the same topic that we need to submit the assignments on?
Oh yes, whatever is mentioned as question, same question you have to submit the answer for.
All right, so we can start the assignment. Once the date is announced, we can submit. Thank you.
Madam, may I leave this session?
You have already voted, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm ending the poll now. Thank you, everybody. So meet you at 12 o'clock.
Ma'am,
You
will you
have one more
share
session at 12
the
o'clock of Dr. Krishnan.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, will you share the study materials also?
Study materials in the sense?
I mean your whatever the presentation you have given, because other
Recording
chapters
is already been put up. Of the last
okay.
sessions, recording is already put up on website.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ma'am.